Hello everyone, in this video I am going to be summarizing the article that we have chosen for activity number 3 and the video that we have chosen as well. So the article is called Project-Based Learning in Teaching English as a Foreign Language. And the video that we have chosen is called 5 Ways to Get Started with Project-Based Learning. So let's go first with the article. Yes, in this article, the author first presents a variety of definitions for PBL, from which we highlight the one proposed by Moss and Van Duzer, which states that PBL is an instructional approach that contextualizes learning by presenting learners with problems to be solved or products to develop. PBL is a model that organizes learning around projects, which are complex tasks based on challenging questions or problems involving students in design, problem solving, decision making, etc., giving them autonomy to work and culminating with realistic products or presentations. Yes. Then she moves on to mention some of the benefits of using PBL in our English classes. Yes. She states that it develops students' confidence and independence. It gives them a positive attitude towards learning. Yes. Their language skills can be improved because they engage in purposeful communication to complete authentic activities. Yes. It also provides an organic integration of the 4 skills. Yes, that is reading and writing, listening and speaking. Students also have an enhanced motivation and engagement, and they enjoy while learning. And it reinforces also the cooperative skills and group cohesiveness. It uses an innovative way for assessing, yes, that it involves an ongoing frequent process that includes the teacher, their peers, and also self-assessment. Before she goes into the steps for implementing PBL, she mentions 6 key factors that should be taken into account, yes, in order to start with this process. One of them is the curriculum issues, yes, that we may encounter in our different institutions. Then the time frame and the material to support understanding and engagement, collaboration, the student direction of the project, the real-world connection that they are going to find while doing this project, and also the assessment, yes, that we have mentioned before. Then, after considering these 6 factors, she moves on to the 10 steps that we have to take into account for the successful implementation of PBL in our classes. Number 1 is that students and teachers should agree on the main theme for the project. Then the students and the teachers should also determine the final outcome of the project, and then they should move on to structuring the project. After that, the teacher should be preparing students for the demand of information gathering, and after that, the students are going to move into the gathering of information per se. After that, the teacher is going to prepare the students, yes, to compile and analyze data. And then the students are going to do that. They are going to compile and analyze different information. Then, step number 8 says that the teacher should be preparing students for the language demands of the final activity. The step number 9 mentions that students should be presenting the final product, and after that we are going to move on to the process of evaluation and assessment of the project. Moving along, yes, we're going to now move to this video, yes, 5 ways to get started with project-based learning, which basically gives us some steps, yes, some tips to get started on this of implementing a project, which can be sometimes overwhelming for teachers. So the video mentions first that the project should be the core academic work so that it becomes how students learn the material. It says that we should be using the existing resources that we have in our institutions. Yes, we should also be mixing up different types of activities and lessons in this project, so that we're going to have direct lessons, debates, we're going to invite experts, etc. Also, it says that our classrooms should look like workshops, yes, in which we have constant debate, conversations going on, research, so it should be alive, yes. And the final tip that it gives us is connected to assessment, and this should go all along the project, yes, all throughout the project we should be assessing the performance of our students. Okay, so that is all. Bye bye.
Taking into account the concepts explored in the article and the video we chose and our experiences as teachers, we believe that one of the main reasons for implementing PBL in our classes is that the new generation of students we are meeting have very different interests that diverge from what the school curricula offers to them. Therefore, they are not interested and not engaged in the classes because they are curious subjects who are finding information about what they truly care somewhere else, like the internet and the social media. Another reason is the lack of authenticity. That is, our students cannot visualize a clear connection between what they are learning in the classroom and the real world, or their real worlds they experience outside the school.
What would be the advantages, disadvantages, or challenges for the implementation of PBL in our school? To consider these 3 elements, we separate them into 3. Advantages versus our perspective, disadvantages and/or challenges. In considering the advantages, we find important to add our opinion or our perspective, because it gives a contextualized framework to the situation of our schools. As advantages, we selected 2, students' commitment and real-world connection. Students' commitment, PBL deals with topics that our students truly care about. Real-world connection, PBL contextualizes learning by presenting learners problems to solve or products to develop. On the other hand, we present our perspective and our opinion in order to give a realistic framework of our school. And we present the real school versus the ideal school, the utopic outcome, and the apathy and indifference from the students and headmasters. Taking into account the disadvantages, we found these 5 main disadvantages: the lack of basic knowledge, the limited time, the apathy and indifference, the final product of the project, and the instant result and the little effort. As the lack of basic knowledge, we found that it is difficult to carry out or to deal with a project or with a long-term project when our students have not the necessary or the basic linguistic knowledge. Time is also an important element when we plan to deal with PBL in our curricula. To get a student's attention and interest is difficult when the teacher presents a problem to solve or a challenge. So therefore, it's difficult to get them involved in a long-term project. Nowadays, our society seems to be more interested in final products or instant results, so that the students reflect that situation when they are only interested in get better marks or loaded videos or photos rather than in the process of meaningful learning. Finally, when we reflect about the challenges, we find that they are many and of a very different nature, but we select these three as crucial, such as assessment, time constraint, and lack of resources. Assessment. The ways proposed to evaluate the process that PBL demands is rather ambiguous, because by the end of the units or the sequence, we as teachers find it difficult to see if our students have actually learned the contents that we need them to handle. Institutional constraints. The demands asked by the institution, that is, fulfilling the curricular contents, projects proposed by the institutions and not the students. Lack of resources. Institutions do not have internet connection, or if they do, it is not very functional. We also have to take into account a student's economic situation, economic and social background. For example, they don't have cell phones or computers. The lack of transportation is another element that we as teachers